Hello everyone. Back again with film recaps. In this video, I'm going to recap one of the horror thriller films from 2007, titled Hostel Part 2. Before we get to the storyline, I'd like to wish everyone a happy and great day. Without further ado, let's get straight to the storyline. Hostel Part 2 will carry on the story of Hostel Part 1, which I've included a link to in the description. Watch it to get the most out of Part 2. For Hostel Part 1, we already learned there is an organization that provides a facility where rich people can kill random people they've bought for a variety of reasons. Like, some people do it out of curiosity, and then there's this man who wanted to be a surgeon but got rejected, so he joins this organization to pretend to be a surgeon, and live out his dream. In the opening scene of this sequel movie, Paxton, the sole survivor from the first film, is retrieved from an Italian train. He is rushed to the hospital due to his poor state, and is later joined by Italian detectives and one police officer. They inquire about the events that happened before his rescue that have resulted in his poor state, and Paxton quickly spills the beans to the detectives. The story began with a sweet tour of Europe by Paxton and his two comrades, before things went south. They were brought from the hostel they checked into some kind of factory, where these very rich people pay to torture people, mostly backpackers. In a dirty scheme run by rich people, immigrants are lured in by someone, to be killed for large amounts of money. His two friends were killed there, and he explains that the place is organized by the elite hunting club, and all the members have the same bloodhound dog tattoo. The detectives then say it's strange that he mentions the tattoo, because someone was found dead in a train station bathroom where Paxton was before, with the same bloodhound tattoo. They claim that Paxton has killed the old businessman and he was on the security tapes there. Things take a dark turn when one of the detectives shows his tattoo, revealing that he is part of the club, and he immediately tears Paxton up. Suddenly, Paxton wakes up with a thud, as he was merely dreaming. Since his escape, he has suffered severe PTSD from his Slovakia experience, the previous place he visited. To remain hidden, Paxton decides to stay at his girlfriend's grandmother's house, but he is furious when he learns that his girlfriend told her sister they were there, because he is afraid the organization's bad guys will come looking for them if anyone knows where they are. The following morning, when his girlfriend wakes up, Paxton is no longer by her side. She goes downstairs to look for her boyfriend, but to her surprise, she sees Paxton's freshly decapitated body down there. Meanwhile, in another place, we see a biker deliver a box to his boss, Sasha, who is extremely content with it, leading us to believe that the box contains Paxton's severed head. The movie then cuts to a new scene, where three American art students, Beth, Whitney, and Lorna, are attending their art classes in Rome. Today's class is an in-depth focus on the human body in its natural state, as everyone gets to sketch a nude model named Axel. At the end of the session, the nude model approaches one of the students, Beth. She compliments Beth's work, and attempts to even buy her a drink when Beth offers her one of her sketches. However, Beth politely declines, saying they are catching a train to Prague before leaving. We also learn that Beth doesn't really have to worry about money, as when her incredibly wealthy mother passed away, a substantial amount of money was left behind for her. Beth alongside her friends Lorna and Whit take the train as planned. Whit and Beth decide to go grab a drink while Lorna chooses to stay in their cabin, and then the two accidentally run into a shady man, whom they pay no attention to. At the train bar, they are surprised to meet Axel there, and she even jokes about Beth inspiring her ride. Meanwhile in their room. Later on, when the girls return to their cabin, they find that Lorna's iPod has been stolen. But moments later, Axel shows up at their cabin and claims that she got Lorna's iPod from the shady guy earlier when she saw him run out of this room, and this iPod fell out of his pocket. In gratitude, they welcome her to their room, and the four continue to spark conversations. When Axel mentions her journey to an amazing natural hot spring spa vacation in Slovakia, a child like Lorna is thrilled. Axel paints a lovely picture of the place, and she immediately gets them to go there instead of Prague. When they inquire about a good place to stay there, we are taken to that alarming hostel in Slovakia. The four arrive in Slovakia and Axel leads them to the hostel, where Paxton and his friends were taken by their friend as well. They are booked in using their passports and offered rooms. Additionally, they are invited to the village harvest festival, which Lorna gladly wants to attend. Whit is a bit reluctant, but when a hot gent picks up the invitation, she gives in. However, something weird happens when they leave, as the receptionist enters a secret room to scan their passports. He then uploads them to the elite hunting club for competitive bidding, containing a picture of their nationality and their price. Within minutes, a select group of wealthy people from around the world are alerted to a new fresh victim's offer, and they compete for the bids. Eventually, a businessman named Todd wins the bid, and he immediately invites his friend, Stuart, to join him to do this crazy thing together. Todd even says that as a birthday present for Stuart, he bought him one girl. Back to the ladies, as they are walking around the village, they're approached by the same group of skull-bashing candy-eating children from the first movie. Lorna offers the kids candy, but one of them simply spits on her face, before they all run away. In the meantime, the two men Todd and Stuart immediately jet to Slovakia to officially become part of the elite hunting club and take over their first victims. They are handed over to a tattoo artist to have the club's tattoo embedded on them. A more composed Todd quickly gets done, but Stuart is hesitant. It becomes clear that Stuart is here on his friend's volition as he keeps pushing him to do everything. Since it's part of their contract with the team, Stuart is forced to take the tattoo. Later at night, the four women go on a night out at the village harvest festival as planned to have fun. Whit quickly drifts away with her new catch, while Beth has fun by herself. Todd and Stuart are in attendance as well, while keeping an eye on their prey. Here Stuart is unable to hold up and goes ahead for a closer look. Meanwhile, Beth keeps to herself when a young gent comes knocking, and asks her out for a dance wittingly, but Beth declines politely. As he leaves, he says he could have helped her, a sentiment that Beth doesn't understand. Just then, the receptionist who booked them, who is close by, shows up. He promises Beth that the young gent won't be a nuisance to her anymore, even as Beth defends him, saying he only asked to dance. He then proceeds to offer her a drink, but she is skeptical about it, and waits for him to leave and gets rid of it. Coincidentally, it lands on Stuart, who was close by, prompting her to apologize profusely. She offers to replace his drink, and this stirs a conversation with Stuart introducing himself. As they part ways, he wishes her a good time.
Good night, Beth.
Stuart calls her by name, which surprises Beth because she never says her name. But he escapes the hook by mentioning he overheard her friend call her. Lorna, on the other hand, lands a mysterious man who barely speaks English, though they understand each other. The love blossoms fast as the duo have fun, and Lorna is invited for a boat ride. Beth is skeptical about the idea, and denies Lorna permission to take the offer. However, her goofy chuckle clearly shows she isn't backing down at all, while Axel and Whitney are having a good time at the party. Later, to Beth's dismay, Lorna takes the offer anyway, as she sees her sail down with her new catch while apologizing. The lovebirds finally sail downstream to a halt on a river bank. However, as soon as she's alone with the man in a dark, secluded spot, things turn sour for Lorna as men in black spring out of the blues. They beat her, knocking herself out in the process. As the party comes to a climax, a drunk Whit and her catch are ready to get off for the night. However, Beth isn't happy with the idea, and opts to keep close to her, while Axel is left to wait for Lorna. The following day, we hear Todd and Stuart discussing their reasons as to why they want to do such a thing, and it's not because they're satisfying their psychopathic urges. Todd thinks it will make them seem more badass to other men, even though Stuart is starting to have second thoughts. At the same time, Beth and Whit join Axel in a hot spa, but Lorna is nowhere to be seen. Since she didn't call, they presume that she had a fantastic night with her man. The scene then cuts to a shot that reveals a gagged Lorna being tied upside down by her supposed man in preparation for the bidder. The evidence of an organized scheme clearly lingers to Lorna, but too late as she is captured. She hangs over an empty bathtub with candles lit all over, and her man kisses her goodbye before leaving. After the men leave and turn off the lights, a lady enters the dark, eerie room, and gets rid of her cloak, as she majestically approaches the tub. In her hand, a sharp blade ready to get to work, all this time staying silent. She cuts off her gag, and despite her pleas to let her go, she slowly slices her back and lets her blood ooze. The rich lady takes a blood bath, before finally slitting her throat to finish her off. Back at the spa, Whit keeps close to her catch, as Beth enjoys the warm therapeutic waters. Axel spends time with Beth, and moments later, Beth nods off to sleep. When she wakes up much later, she finds herself alone in the previously busy spa. Everyone, including Whitney, has gone. She wanders around trying to trace Whit to no avail. Just then, the suspicious men in black who earlier on captured Lorna show up, prompting her to flee. She jumps the fence into the woods and is lucky to spot an oncoming truck. Seeing the driver is the gent he denied a dance, she begs him for help. However, the boy is nursing injuries after an organized beating for coming close to her, so he leaves afraid to help her. With her hunters still in pursuit, she continues her flee, but is nabbed by the kids' gang once more. They are demanding that she gives them $1. But before the kids are able to do any serious damage, Axel comes up out of the blues to her rescue, alongside Sasha, the man we saw earlier. She is helped to the car, while Sasha remains to tackle the boys. He pulls out a gun, killing one of the kids as a punishment to prove just how evil this man really is. The trio then head for Sasha's palatial home, where Sasha promises police are on their way. Meanwhile, Whit, who seems to have been nabbed as well, is picked up among other detainees. She is taken for prep by an old makeup artist, who keeps calming her down following her cries. The old lady says she wants to make Whit pretty for a client, and Whit manages to bite her nose, and attempts to escape. However, she is met with severe security measures. Unfortunately, she is recaptured, and taken back in. Back at Sasha's, we see Axel tending to Beth's wounds and applying makeup for her in a room. But when she looks up, she notices a picture of Axel with the exact same man who stole Lorna's iPod on the train, as well as a picture of Axel with Natalia and Svetlana, the two women from the first movie who lured Paxton and his friends to their deaths. After Axel leaves the room, Beth looks carefully at the picture, before noticing the men in black entering the house. When she steps outside of the room, Sasha and Axel only smile at her, revealing they have been part of the scheme all along. In an attempt to escape, she finds herself in a secret room full of decapitated heads, among them Paxton's. She is shocked for a moment, giving her pursuers enough time to capture her. On the other hand, Todd and Stuart have been informed that it's now their time, and they set off for the old factory where all the magic happens. They are received warmly and geared up for the action, after which they take an elevator to the action rooms. As Stuart enters his room, we can see that he's almost as afraid as the victim is that's bound in front of him. Meanwhile, Todd lands Whitney, and the action begins. He gets the first hand, as he continuously teases Whit with a sharp saw. Stuart, on the other hand, removes Beth's blindfold only for her to be shocked. He promises to remove her gag for a talk, but on the condition she remains calm. Stuart opens up about how he was dragged into this by his rich friend who purchased Beth as his birthday present. He also reveals the truth about this place and the elite hunting club, while insisting that he doesn't actually want to kill her. Back to Todd, he is so excited to scare Whitney with the saw, but then he accidentally cuts off her face with it. The yuckiness of the situation has made him realize this is not what he wants to be doing. As a result, he gives up on the mission, and as he's trying to go, he gets into an argument with one of the men, who tells him that he can't leave until a life has been taken, as that is part of the contract. He however stands his ground, and heads out via the elevator, sobbing and gagging at the thought of what he's just done. But since the contract states that a life must be taken before being allowed to leave, fierce dogs are released on him once the elevator opens, tearing him down within minutes. The organization, being all business savvy and stuff, decides to throw their own little auction in-house for a soon-to-be-dead Whitney, with a greatly reduced price. But all of them reject the offer because they are preoccupied with their own victims. Back to Stuart, he frees Beth from her restraints, and the terrified Beth tells him to escape with her. But when she hardly tries the code to unlock the door, Stuart knocks her out. This man suddenly changes his mind and is revealed to be psychotic. He reveals that Beth bears an extremely close resemblance to Stuart's wife, whom Stuart hates but cannot kill, because it is against the law. When he is about to begin torturing Beth, the elite hunting club knocks on the door and offers Whitney to Stuart. Stuart, after discovering Todd's death, shows Beth the pictures of the maimed Whitney to frighten her. He then accepts the club's offer for vengeance, leaves Beth for a time, and murders Whitney. When Stuart returns, covered in Whitney's blood, Beth seduces him into untying her from the chair. She mentions their earlier engagement, and proclaims her love for him. Beth manages to get his blood hot enough till Todd decides to force himself on her, so she takes her chances, and successfully puts him down before tying him up on the same chair. Sadly, her attempts to leave the room are futile, as Sasha shows up alongside his team. To try and save herself, she holds Todd hostage, threatening to chop his manhood off. She then offers to buy her freedom with part of her inheritance, and though Stuart tries to outbid her, Sasha reveals that he knows that Stuart cannot afford to do so, pointing out that it was Todd who paid for them. Hearing this, Sasha agrees because, in the end, money is all that matters. But he tells her that in order for her to leave, she must kill one and join the club. Enraged by this, Todd insults her, and in return, she finishes off the job, and feeds his manhood to the dogs. She then directs them to leave him to bleed to death, something even the members see as gross. Satisfied, Sasha gives Beth an elite hunting club tattoo, making her an official member of the organization. In the closing scene, Axel is lured by the Gypsy Street kids to leave a party, and follow them into the woods. She runs after them, but to her surprise, it's a trap totally set up by Beth, who ambushes and beheads her as a form of revenge. As if that wasn't enough, she gets the kid a fantastic ball from Axel's head, leaving them playing as she leaves. Okay guys, that's all the recap of Hostel Part 2 2007. Thanks for watching. See you again in the next video.